Today my wife accused me of becoming a bit too new agey. And I apologize, but I can't help myself. When I look at the world around me and I question things like, is this a mirror reflection back at me? Ever since 2016 and my Mandela effect transition, everything around me has become symbolic for something else. There's messages in everything. There's coincidence in everything. There's this much bigger idea that's always bouncing around my head. And I've always been kind of a sci-fi nerd, not because I like the idea of space and spaceships, but usually sci-fi presents very metaphysical concepts and things that are very mind-blowing, things that make you think about existence and what this is all about. So lately, I mean, everybody, all of us are getting inundated with messages about AI. I mean, it's gone bonkers. I mean, it was bad enough in 2016, but it's just ramping up and it's everywhere you turn now. AI, AI, AI. And I have one daughter who's quite resistant and hates the idea of AI. My other kids are more open to it. I just wondered if reality is pointing back at us the idea that we are becoming more and more self aware in a larger sense. AI is, everybody's concerned it's going to get too smart and destroy all of us. Well, maybe we are getting self aware in a different awareness that we've never had of ourselves. And I'm sorry if this sounds too new agey, but what if that's what reality is reflecting back at us right now? That we are becoming self aware ourselves, aware of our situation, our consciousness in the simulation, or whatever you want to call it. We are becoming very aware of our surroundings and who we are, the deeper meanings. And the Mandela effect definitely launches us in far, far directions. So, just a question that's out there. Speaking of I have been playing around with GPT, and seeing what its capabilities are this week. I've been running questions through it. I've been having some chats with it about the Mandela effect and reality, the existence of reality. I had it spit back to me and sum up things that I've said. Sometimes I am guilty, as you may know, that I ramble and I repeat myself, and I have disconnected and disorganized thoughts, and I just shoot them out here from every direction. I don't even know how I'm going to start a video. Well, I know how I'm going to start it. Usually I have a speck of an idea in my head, and then I just start talking. And a lot of times through the week, I have things in my head that I was like, oh, I should bring that up, just in my ramblings. But I never know if I repeat myself or how disorganized it's going to sound. So the AI truly is good at fixing that problem. I can take notes, like I can draft an email to myself, say, guys, deeper thoughts, and I can just plug ideas that I have into it as the week goes on. And even if the ideas are disconnected and all over the place, I can shove it into the AI program and say, take all of this mess and reorganize it for me. Put it in an outline. Just take it. Take the ideas that are duplicated and combine them, make it all organized and make it sound sensible. And it'll do it just in a second, 2 seconds. Boom, it'll spit it back to me. It'll organize it. It'll clean up the grammar. It'll even simplify and clarify things, and sometimes even expand on the ideas. This is just amazing what it can do. So it did that. I had it spit back to me. What did I just say? Kind of reorganize my thoughts here and give me why, or what would be a strong argument for why the Mandela effect is not just a case of mistaken memory. And it beautifully gave me all these points that I made to it. It gave it back to me in a more organized fashion. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I thought, well, maybe I can use this at work. I mean, everybody's probably doing this now, but this week, every single day this week, 3 days in a row, I have had the opportunity to use the AI to help me in my communications. So the first day I was trying to read and interpret a contract that we have with one of our vendors about what services they will perform. And they are trying to rebill us for supply, an increase in their cost for supplies, which our contract has verbiage that kind of insinuates that they would be taking care of all those miscellaneous supplies and not be billing us. So I plugged in some of my interpretation of the contract and some direct words that were in the contract. I plugged it all into the AI, and I said, take all. Well, I didn't plug it into the AI. I just put it in my notes, just randomly scrambled all together, disorganized, and then I copied all that, and I said at the front to the AI, please take all these notes and draft a business, professional, and legal letter that I can use to tell my vendor. And I kind of had a rough email already written out. It just wasn't as good. I just asked it to redo and rewrite this and make it sound good so I can tell my vendor why I'm not going to pay them for the extra costs that they have in their supplies. It did it. In 2 seconds, I kicked out beautiful, beautiful script. So I used that wording to tell my company, my vendor, that, hey, I'm not going to pay this extra cost that you're hitting me with, and copied my boss, and she copied some big shot at corporate, and everybody's seeing this letter, and it is my words. I will say that, but it took them and it just kind of cleaned them up like a personal assistant would. And then the next day, I used it again. How did I use it again? I got to think for a second. Oh, yeah. So the next day, my boss said she was working on trying to write an RFP or a scope of work for another property we have. And she's over 60 different properties around the nation. And she's trying to write, she said she needs to write up, detailed list of what the duties are for the same thing we have going at our local property, but it's at another property. We got to get bids. So I said, you want me to take that off your plate? I'll work on it for you. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking that's a great one to run through the chat GPT. So she said, oh, would you? That'd be so great. Okay. So I took basically my idea of what this vendor should do and the scope. And then I used some scope wording that's already in our agreements already. I kind of threw it all together in this mess, plugged it into the computer. I know a lot of you are hating me right now. That's cheating. You're cheating at work, guy. So I plugged it into the computer. Boom, spat out the perfect scope of work, worded so nicely. And I gave it to the boss, and she, oh, this is awesome. And sent it over to that other person. I mean, I know, it just feels like I'm cheating. I don't know. I mean, anybody can do this. It's not a big deal. But, yes, I know you're saying, you won't be laughing when it takes your job. I know. I hear you. You sound like my daughter right now. She's all the warnings. This thing's going to take your job. Why do they need you if you're just going to, okay. Let me remind you, the foundation of what I'm giving this thing is me. It's just kind of cleaning it up. But anyway, today, it happened again. We had a meeting yesterday with this vendor that's got an issue with wanting to bill us like $5,000 extra every month for services that their contract really does say they should be doing. And then there was like 4 other points. And I didn't like the feeling that I got from that meeting. Like the feeling was just there was a lot of points that were bad. So I woke up the next morning and I quickly jotted down all the issues I had that meeting. But it sounds a little bitchy and whiny. I'm looking at it. I was like, yeah, I just sound bitchy and whiny here. So I asked the bot. I said, hey, take my mess here that I'm bitching and whining and turn it into something that sounds more professional and write it as if I'm writing a synopsis or summary of what the meeting was and the takeaway key points. And it did it. It cleaned up. It took out my bitchiness and it made it sound professional. So I sent that to the boss saying, this is a recap of the meeting we had yesterday. And just some notes. And they were my notes. All AI did was just kind of clean me up a little bit. It made me more presentable. That's all it did. Is before you go out the door, let's make sure your tie is straight. That's what it did. Well, the boss was like, wow, these are excellent notes. And she sent it to some big shot at corporate and saying, Scott put together these notes of the meeting with this vendor that we've been having trouble with. And this guy at corporate's been involved too with vendor selection. And he shot back an email to her saying, wow, these are really excellent notes. Great job, Scott. I mean, the praise was just crazy. And I'm like, ooh, I'm starting to feel a little guilty here because I know I'm getting some extra, you know, praise or whatever you want to call it, some kudos for stuff that I'm getting assistance with. Anybody could do this, right? To me, I mean, this reminds me when I'm in college, I'm taking a business class, a finance class, and one teacher I took, I had to drop the class. I just couldn't stand the guy. Wanted everything to be handwritten. He didn't trust calculators, didn't like calculators. But in all reality, nobody's writing formulas out when they get out of college. They're using a calculator. Dropped his class, took another, years later, took the class again, different teacher. He's like, look, I'm going to show you the formula. This is how the basics of one of these formulas looks. Well, you're not going to do it in real life. I'm going to teach you to learn how to use your calculator. It's just stupid to do it any other way. So he taught us basically to understand the calculator. To me, at this point, this AI is not a threat. At this point, it's just like going to a business class with a calculator. It's a calculator. I'm going to work with it because it's like a calculator. Now, I know everybody's worried that super intelligent AI is going to come in and decide to squash us like a bug. I'd like to hear what you all think about that. But my wife again today, she said, I was telling her how this thing is just coming through for me every time. She said, well, don't, she says, basically made a remark about, I suppose you're going to let that thing write poetry for you. Yeah, I don't really write poetry. I used to have no problem doing it. And this is kind of a new agey thing to say too, but I never felt like I was writing anything. It was honestly like I was channeling. I didn't, I mean, you get in that quiet spot, shut your eyes, you think, you slow down your pace, I don't know, gamma waves or delta waves, whatever wave it is, you get your mind in that state. And then you just hear the words and you just write them down as you hear them. That's all it's been for me. It's not, to me, poetry writing has been about as close a thing to channeling as you can get. So I don't do a bunch of it, but when I was 20, I started having the dreams. And in the dreams, the poems were being read to me, and the first one was super long, and I remembered this one phrase, and I've said this before, I told you all. I was able to remember just a fragment of that very long poem. So she gave me the idea, why don't I run that verse through ChatGPT and see what will expand on it? So I said, write a poem of 25 to 35 lines that would be most appropriate in meaning and rhythm with the following words. And I wrote the words of that first poem that I had in a dream. Through the ages, my heart waits to see the powers of love and life combined by the eavesdrops of a life's cracked open door. Now listen to what this thing spit out in literally 2 seconds. I mean, my jaw is I dropped. I was like, holy crap. So it just, no problem. Here you go. Through the ages, my heart waits to see the powers of love and life combined by the eavesdrops of a life's cracked open door, where secret whisper and dreams unwind. In twilight, gentle, glowing hue, the past and future softly blend, a symphony of old and new, where endless echoes never end. Love's tender touch, a guiding light through tempest storms and darkest nights, a beacon in the unveiling mist, a promise that our souls persist. Life's dance, a waltz of joy and pain. In every step, a chance to grow with each embrace and sacred gain of wisdom only hearts can know. Through eavesdrops fall the tears we shed in moments lost and memories found, the open door where paths are led to fields where love and life abound. As seasons turn, the heart remains a patient watch upon the shore, for in the union hope sustains and whispers, live and love once more. Through time's vast tapestry we weave a tale of strength and soft embrace. For in the heart we all believe that love and life share endless grace. So wait I will with open heart by life's door slightly ajar, for love and life are ne'er apart in eavesdrops near and dreams afar. I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty amazing, the creativity that this thing has. It means that people like myself all over the place right now are probably using the AI to enhance their work and their job, to make creative content, whether it be poetry or YouTube videos or books. I've heard that people are spitting out books that are almost 100% written by the AI, which, yeah, that might be cheating. But the way I've been using it, it has been quickly enhancing everything that I do, and I see this only exploding even more. Some people are afraid of what's coming. Some people are neutral. Some people haven't even thought about it, and some people are excited about it. Curious where you stand. That's where I am today. I'm just seeing reality. I'm trying to keep the most positive outlook for the future because I'm starting to sense that the outlook we have is important. That our disposition, our bent towards, our leaning towards positivity or negativity does have a result for the next day. So I'm trying to keep myself thinking along the lines of how good can it be rather than how worse can this get. So that's my thoughts for today. We hope this sustains and that we can keep these positive ideas going, but I'm sure there's plenty of people to object. I'm ready for the objections. I've gotten plenty from my wife and my oldest daughter already. My other younger children seem to be all more in line with what I'm thinking. But and what am I thinking? I'm thinking I'm going to use this thing at work because it's so far this week been kicking butt and taking names, so why not? Anyway, thought I'd throw that out there. Thank you for listening to my tales and rants and all the crazy things and I come up with, and my YouTube videos are super disorganized, and I don't think I'm going to have the AI bot rewrite them for me because I would never upload them. That's the problem with this. And son of a gun. Son of a gun. I lost my screen. All right. I'm going to end it there. And that's it. Have a good one. God bless.